Well, the voice that Lance heard was his waitress. She was behind him, and first he heard the voice. Uh, Nice sleeves, she said, and now he looked around, and there was a woman that she was wearing bright red stretch pants, and that's the one thing he noticed about her right away. And she had in her hair, long hair, curly, thick, with a little bit of gray in it. She was probably in her 40s, but he didn't analyze it that much, but he did, in fact, notice that. And anyway, he said right away, "Oh, I love him. A lady made him for me. Lady Violet, maybe you've heard of her, Lady Violet Wessex. She made these for me. And so I get to ride my bike along. I'm wearing the colors of a lady, my Lady Violet." And actually, Vivien, the waitress said, "Well, my name is Vivien. Vivien Allison Cohen at your service," she said, "and I'm your waitress, but I also own this place, or I partly own this place." So anyway, those are nice sleeves. And what made you decide to wear them? And Lance, he said, "Oh, I'd love to tell you. I'm proud of it, but I'm also ashamed of it, and because of that, I want to tell the story." And so Vivien, I'll just call her that. She said, "Well, just a minute." She went and served a couple of other guests real quick, and came back, and she'd also told somebody else to take over because she wanted to hear this story. So she sat down across from him and had brought him a beer. He said, "Here, have a free beer. We're a little bit like Richland, North Virginia here, except it's a commercial place, so we can't actually give it to you for free, unless I'm the owner and I decide to. I guess So anyway, have a free beer. We call it Vivien's Brew here." And she had a twinkle in her eye, and she said, "Some of the clientele, they like to call it the witch's brew. It's my own special brew, but they say that because they're being kind. They know there's more than one kind of witch. There's good witches and bad witches, and I'm a good witch. There's white ones and black ones." And so she was ready to talk, but anyway, Lance was the one. She wanted to hear this story. So he told it in brief. He said about his ride across the United States, the whole way across the continent, and how he'd fallen out of a tree, made it to Violet's house, and then his shame was the fact that after they had gone to all that work to heal him and be so nice to him, he'd gone off and he'd climbed a tree and fallen and done it again, and he was so ashamed. But he was glad that he could tell the story because it was good for him to tell it, and it was good for people to hear it. You should think of others. Well, Vivien was fascinated. She was winding up to ask a whole lot more, but it was just about then that in the door came Violet and Elaine. And the first thing Vivien said when she saw Elaine was, "Nice sleeves," once again, because Violet had done her magic with crafts and done the sleeves, and two beautiful multicolored green sleeves, and really Elaine did look stunning, as I told you before. And they came in, and Lance, he right away stood up, of course, and introduced Vivien to. He said, "This is my Lady Violet, and here is the Lady Elaine." And Violet or Vivien, she said, "What's all this lady stuff?" She didn't say it just first, but then Lance said, "And your name?" I forget it all. Oh no, he remembered. "You're Lady Vivien." And Vivien said, I'm no lady. Look at me. Look at me. Do I look like a lady? I'm a wench. And, Lance, he was just confused by that. He said, well, you look like a lady to me, but okay. Lady Violet, Lady Lane, this is wench Vivien. And Vivien said, pleased to meet you. I've heard of you. You're a fine craftsman, artist craftsman from Richland, aren't you? And she said, well, yes, that's where I'm from. And for Violet's part, said, and I've heard of you, Vivien. You own this place here, don't you? You've got a reputation as being a great hostess. So, yeah, I've heard of you. And at that point, Vivien explained, well, yes, the thing is, I love my work. I have a nickname here. They call me Sid because a hero of mine is Siduri. You probably never heard of her. Siduri is the eternal barmaid. She's a character from the Gilgamesh epic. I'm sure you've never heard of that. And, Violet said, no, I haven't. So you're wench Vivien, or Sid. And she said, yeah, that's right. And I'd like to hear this whole story. But if I understand this right, he's going to go down over to Bertolac and the Green Land to end his quest and go into the water. You probably had better go instead of delay, but I'd love to hear you talk, for an hour. This is fun. But you better go because of the high tide, if you want to swim at least, or to go in, because the water isn't all that deep there. I know that beach. So off they were going to go, but before they left, Vivien, wench Vivien, Sid, she said, but if he's heading back west tomorrow morning, and you are too, would you please stop here? I'll host you to breakfast. I'll put on a breakfast for you, and maybe we'll have time. I'd like to hear the whole story and how it went, going into the water, and I like you. And I'd like to hear that story, like Siduri usually did, the eternal barmaid. That's what I like to do, is hear stories. So tomorrow morning around 8, I'll put a breakfast on for you. Oh, and bring, if Tira's there, I know Tira that owns Bertolac. Tell her to come too. I'd love to have a little bit of time with her. So it was set, and then off they went on their ways. And one of the reasons that Vivien had done that is because the place was pretty busy at that hour, and so she had stuff to do. She wanted to enjoy this.